both got on?
I have no idea. Do you have all the admin panel stuff too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're co-hosts.
Dude, we've been doing this wrong the
Oh
whole
my
time.
gosh, that means we could both use the soundboards. What the heck? Well, I can
This is
change
our,
your
what,
settings.
13th episode, and we just figured this out.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
You know? Does that
One
make me a
time.
bad person?
No, not at all, actually. I also feel like if you turn in money, a lot of the time, the people you turn it into just probably keep it, or nobody comes to claim it after so long, then they keep it, you know?
Yeah.
Did I
I
ever
wonder.
tell you one time, I think I was working with one of my buddies, Adam, at a movie theater, and
Yeah.
we found an envelope of like $3,000.
What?
Yeah, the people came back for it though. They said they were paying their taxes.
Why would you?
I know you bring it to the movies and then you leave it in the sofa. I don't know how any
What?
if I carry like $500 in my wallet, I feel uncomfortable. I constantly feel like I'm about to get mugged. Like I
I
don't
know, I do too.
understand.
And if I'm with, because I hardly ever carry that much by myself, but like if I'm with Adam and we're gonna go make a big purchase, we split the money between us so that we have like, it's not all in
Yeah.
one wallet. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Because we're
sure,
like,
sure, sure.
we gotta,
Honestly,
I don't
that's
know.
not a bad strat, but
Yeah. Sometimes I shove it up my butt.
oh my god.
I'm joking. Today's episode is sponsored by Dayquil. So if I say anything unhinged, that's the Dayquil speaking.
Well,
And it wasn't me.
so now that we've oh my god.
It was me.
It's Dark Bailey.
It was Dark Bailey.
Um, so since we've talked about keystering $500 and Dayquil sponsoring our episodes, what
Yes.
are we talking about today?
Okay, so this episode I am really excited about. So it is about a mysterious bubble cloud over China. We'll
Ooh.
probably maybe title it something else.
I like mysterious bubble cloud over China. That's
it's
great
so
SEO.
specific.
Yeah, you know it is. But when
Maybe
people are,
like sky anomaly or I don't know,
yeah, we're gonna have
something.
to dress it up or something. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh,
So
Uranus in China or
you're,
something. It could be. Like,
oh my God. So we've talked about seeing weird things in the sky before, not on the podcast, but just randomly. And I've wanted to do a full episode on a video that I saw a couple years ago, but we didn't have the podcast then, obviously. And I also didn't think I'd have enough for like a full episode. However, after going down a rabbit hole, I found some other similar happenings, meaning I've got plenty of stuff to talk about on this
oh
episode.
my gosh.
So
All
let's
right, I'm here
dive
for it.
in. I'm about to dive in.
Man, you should
Okay.
be popping Benadryl before the show more often, or whatever it is. Dayquil,
Okay.
sorry.
Yes. Okay, so Ethan, imagine you're driving home at night, admiring the city lights and navigating through traffic, listening to your usual calming music, whether it's something by ICP or Gretchen Wilson. You look up at the sky as you're singing Redneck Woman and notice a strange light in the sky. It starts out small and then gets larger. It envelops the entire city you're driving into, appearing as a bubble over the entire city. And as it gets larger, it gets brighter until eventually it completely fades and disappears altogether. Ethan, what are you doing in this scenario? Besides singing Redneck Woman by Gretchen Wilson.
So yeah, Redneck Woman's playing. I'm cranking my hog, which of course means revving my motorcycle. Um, I'd probably man, I feel like in scary situations, I'm a just keep walking, just keep driving, ignore it. It'll probably go away. It's
Yeah.
probably me, not you, kind of reaction. But if I saw that, I would probably pull over and just whip out my phone, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably do the same thing because you're seeing it as you're driving into the city.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So this happened in both Beijing and Shanghai on August 28th, 2011. And I found a few articles about it as well as some news video reports. And I'll play a little bit of those. And for those of you who are listening without any visuals, I'll post it up on Instagram, or you could also check out the YouTube channel and the links and stuff, or, watch it there if you want. But Spotify has video now, so you can watch us talk on Spotify, which is pretty dope.
Absolutely. Tap that Spotify app and you can see our
Yeah.
faces.
Yeah. Okay, so the first article that I found is from 14 News. And it's I think based out of Indiana, which first of all, I'm like, this news station in Indiana is sharing an article about China. I don't know. I thought
Yeah,
it was
how are
interesting
they
because,
breaking this news? Yeah.
right, especially because there weren't very many articles about it, and this was the main one that I found. So I'm going to send you, Ethan, the picture really quick so that you can see it.
Okay, yeah, I got the picture up.
Yeah. Doesn't it look kind of ominous or just like freaky?
So this isn't what I was expecting even when you described it. It's not like you can get like a weird light bubble or reflection or anything, but this is like clearly contained with like a defined border. And
Yeah.
the thing that I would say doesn't lend towards like a camera issue is that there are trees and stuff in the foreground that are clearly in front of the giant bubble.
Yeah.
So
And it just looks like a giant dome
it
over
does
a
like
part
a
of the
giant
city.
like I don't know how to yeah, it's just just like a foggy bubble dome. It's obviously at least a couple of miles in diameter,
Right.
but you can't really tell how far away it is either.
Right. So I'm going to read a portion of the article. Quote, the giant ball of light appeared on Saturday night. A pilot flying from Shanghai to Changshan was the first to post information about the colossal light online. The pilot says the so-called UFO grew in size and ended up being about 100 times larger than the moon. He said the sphere slowly faded as it hovered above Shanghai for nearly 20 minutes. An expert from Shanghai UFO Research Center suspects the UFO could be the fragment of a satellite launched by Russia 2 days earlier, end quote. So I thought that was interesting, that their immediate thought was UFO, because in my mind, that's not a UFO. It's some type of light anomaly,
Sure. And
right?
I have heard other cultures are not as, there's not as much taboo around saying UFO or even aliens in some instances versus in the US. But
Right.
I've never seen a piece of like, atmospheric debris present like this though, like reflect in a perfectly spherical place. And that's also split almost half on the horizon. So I'm not sure how that would even work.
It really is. It just looks like there's just like a bowl
Yeah, it's
that's
like
like
somebody
translucent.
threw up a yeah, exactly, like a huge protection barrier over
Yes.
over the whole city, like they were trying to block out sins or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Or torpedoes, bugs. It could really block anything. I don't know what the surface is like, but it does not
Yeah.
look like it's. It also in this doesn't look like it's really like floating over the city so
Yeah.
much as it's like domed over the city or like the city is emitting it somehow. And
Right.
it you could easily some people if you're just listening you might think, "Oh, light pollution hitting some smog or something." It I've seen that quite a bit just living in some smoggy cities, it
Yeah.
doesn't make like a perfectly spherical projection like that with such a, defined border.
Right. It kind of like in my experience with light pollution and how it reflects off of smog or any type of fog is that it just makes it look more hazy where you are. It
Yeah,
might,
and it'd
yeah,
have a more
it like
perfect,
fades in and
like,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
gradient. It wouldn't have just,
Yes.
it only goes 100 meters up and then stops. Like, that's not how light really
Right.
works.
Yeah. So I also found a blog that someone had where they were claiming that this was one of the many signs of the second coming of Jesus Christ. But I decided to not really read that or give them attention because there are tons of conspiracy theorists out there who really don't do anything except doomsday everybody. So let's go into the news report. There's a YouTube video that I found of that.
Photos were posted online of a mysteriously huge bubble cloud over the skies of Beijing and surrounding areas Thursday, which raised concerns and discussions among netizens.
At first, it's relatively small and bright. The upper part is something like a semicircle, a spherical ring of light. It's obviously becoming bigger and bigger then.
When the observation team set their instruments at the bubble, it gradually became bigger and thinner. The entire occurrence lasted for less than 15 minutes. Observers took pictures of the whole process and posted them online. Staff members at the Beijing Planetarium believe it was the same phenomenon after an analysis of time and space.
Of course, people had a lot of discussion. Personally, I think it's a kind of meteor or a phenomenon in terrestrial space.
Experts say the bubble cloud was unlikely a natural phenomenon. Judging from the pictures, the bubble cloud was hundreds of miles away from observers in Beijing.
It must have been caused by human beings, not nature or other things like that.
In less than one day, more than 100 comments were posted about the unusual phenomenon. Many of those who commented said they had seen a similar bubble cloud in the provinces of Shenyang, Shanxi, and Zhejiang.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. I always think it's interesting when like I don't know, a planetarium group or whatever, whatever their qualification was,
Yeah.
sees something and they start measuring it
Yeah.
immediately, and then you still don't have a clear answer. I also feel like they didn't really the contrasting opinions, they didn't really put any like evidence forward in their claim that it's obviously man-made aside from just saying it's obviously man-made. That's how we know
Yeah.
it must be
Like
man-made.
there weren't any other suggestions like besides a meteor.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, and that's initially like the first time that read about this and saw that video, I was like, I have to at some point dig into this and see if I can find out more information on what it, not to like try to debunk it, but to like try to understand what it could be. Because I've seen light anomalies before, but and like crazy looking clouds and stuff, like storm clouds, but not anything like that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, most people have seen those. I forget what they're called, but those ring clouds that form right over like mountains. They
Yes.
look very, very fake. But it's absurd.
Yeah.
But this doesn't look anything like that. But there
No.
are like physics acts in weird ways, and sometimes it creates really, really, really strange like uniform shapes just out in nature. So
Yeah.
could
Do you,
be anything.
do you think it could be like goblin activity?
So I was wondering, like you do not usually hear too much about goblin activity in like urban China, but
Uh,
some of the things, especially during like surface activity on goblins, if it could be, um, a biophosphorescent mushroom harvest. It could be like perhaps like they're having a run on gold or something, which caused a lot of surface reflection or refraction from like an unpredictable outside light source.
okay.
So I don't really know. I mean, it could be. I'm not the topmost goblinologist out there right now, but
Yeah.
that's a distinct possibility, I suppose. I can run it by some of my experts.
Okay. Okay. So I would like to say that I researched for an hour before I finally found this other article that I'm going to go into, because the previous article and the news report on it both referred to it as a bubble cloud. And if you just Google bubble clouds, you know how many random dumb shit comes up? Literally everything except what I was trying to find. So I rephrased what I was trying to find, and I found an article of something that happened extremely similar, but it was in Hawaii in 2014.
Ooh,
So are you ready for
I'm
this?
so ready. Yes.
Okay. The article is from slate.com and reads as such. Quote, imagine you're on an island paradise, staying up very late and enjoying your view of the dark sky on a warm, pre-dawn morning. Suddenly, your reverie is interrupted by a bizarre and frankly eerie sight. Rising over the horizon is a huge circle of light, a glowing smoke ring that gets bigger as it moves silently across the starry vault. After several minutes, growing the whole time, it finally dips below the far horizon, leaving you stunned and wondering if you've lost your mind. Last week, I got 2 emails from 2 different people. This is the article continuing, not me. I don't think we get any emails from anybody. So if you want to email us, niche knowledge and nonsense at gmail.com.
Good
I
plug.
do
Good
check
plug.
it daily.
But yeah, yes. But go on, go on. The article goes on
Okay.
to say,
Yep. I got 2 emails from 2 different people describing just this sort of event. I knew what they were telling me was real, but not because the 2 reports were independent of one another and not because of one of them sent me the amazing picture displayed above, which I'll include in the notes and we can put it in the video. I knew it was real because I knew right away what event they were describing. I've heard these stories before. Once was in 2009 when such an event freaked out people all over Norway, and 2 have been seen in recent years over Hawaii, one in 2011 and another in 2013. They had just seen a suborbital missile on its way across the planet after a test launch. That's what was seen from the same area in 2011 and 2013. A Minuteman III ICBM was launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, and while it's in space, the third stage performs a fuel dump. When the material is released, it expands as a spherical shell in the near vacuum of space and looks very much like an expanding, glowing soap bubble. It also moves rapidly across the sky since it maintains the momentum of the rocket itself, moving at several kilometers per second. I looked again at the picture I was sent. If the launch was from California, people seeing it in Hawaii would see the halo approaching from the northeast. And sure enough, if you look at the picture, you can see the 4 stars comprising the bowl of the Big Dipper on the left side of the halo, confirming this picture was taken facing northeast. So that's kind of like, that to me was really cool. That's like someone else had dug into that for Hawaii, because I feel like what happened in Beijing, they were just like, I don't know,
yeah,
it was man-made. Like, okay.
could be anything. But this person seems to have done a little bit of like homework to figure out what was happening
Yes.
at that time.
Yes.
So I actually misjudged the scale. Then, if this is happening in like some sort of low to medium orbit, these things have to be hundreds of miles wide, like
Huge.
massive.
Yeah.
And I looked up this glowing ring above Hawaii, just popped that
Uh-huh.
into Google,
Yeah.
um, and or Bing, and it looks very similar. The photos of this one are much higher quality, I would
Yes.
say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see the stars just like they're describing, and it does look similar. That doesn't make me
Yeah.
feel better about the unknown one outside of Beijing if it's some kind of, atmospheric launch or missile test or something like that, and they just give no information on it, apparently.
Well, I'm going to go a little farther into this article because this guy goes on to explain that he's got a friend named Jonathan,
No
and
freaking way. Okay.
and that was really cool. No. So he's like a space fanatic and keeps track of like all of the launches. So, and he had a contact at the Air Force Base where this thing was launched from. So Jonathan hooked this guy up with someone to get a hold of at the Air Force Base, at the public affairs office, and they told him that there had been a launch in the Southwest and the timing of everything lined up.
Okay.
So he confirmed that there was one that had been set off very close to when the light anomaly was seen.
About to sneeze your eyelashes off there.
I know. I have a cold, guys. I'm sorry. I'm like,
If you were wondering why she sounds so freaking messed up and gravelly and unpleasant, it's because of the cold. She's not usually this repugnant on air, but
yeah,
give her
okay.
give her a break. Okay, but this sounds so it does take a village. I mean, we have a little bit of cross expertise on interested groups right there who were able to kind of get to the bottom of that one right there at the very least.
Yeah. So I was a bit sad, to like kind of dig and somewhat debunk this. But because we don't know for sure that it was like a missile launch, but because of like how similar they are, it could be safe to assume that it was.
I'm kind of leaning towards missile launcher or
Yeah.
similar because those two photos look very, very similar
Yes.
as far as anomalies go.
There is another article that I found. And you're going to like this one. I just sent you the link so that you can look at
Oh.
the pictures.
Okay, so we've got an eerie glowing bubble over Siberia sparks UFO reports, likely a missile. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, let's check this out.
So, the article is from space.com, and it says this. Quote, a massive glowing bubble of light erupted in the night sky above northeastern Siberia sometime in October 26th or the 27th. Which one is the... Yep, this came out in 2017. The Siberian Times has reported. Multiple witnesses reported seeing the bubble, according to the publication, and at least 5 people captured images of the phenomenon. While many people quoted by the news sites expressed concerns that the phenomenon might have something to do with aliens or, quote, a gap in the space-time continuum, end quote.
Naturally.
The Siberian Times suspected it is caused by a rocket launch. Now, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, which operates the Russian armed forces, has said on Facebook that it launched a Topol-M intercontinental ballistic missile last night as part of a test exercise. So there is confirmation that a missile had been launched. But of course, when you're dealing with Russia, they're going to give you as little information as they can or want to.
Yeah, they're like,
So
I launched a Topol-M at your mom's house last night. But yeah, which is basically their press strategy, and that is fine. It's a beautiful country that we wish the best to.
yes. But part of the in the pictures of the article that I sent you, like where it was seen is crazy how far away it was from the missile launch.
Okay, so reports of a giant glowing ball lighting the sky over Salikard, the Yamal Peninsula, and looks very similar to the other two things that we've seen. This one has a little bit more like strange, like pollution things going, that it's got like some cascading patterns, but as it disperses, especially, it takes on that same kind of bright, defined, bordered, radiant light, right? Just like over the horizon. And again, must be absolutely massive, but this one is beautiful. It looks like you can see the northern lights and then that big like arc.
Very pretty.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Better pictures for this one, definitely. But it is really cool. And there were some, what do you call them? I'm blanking. Like the Northern Lights. What are those called?
Yeah, the Northern Lights, right?
Yeah. Those were also seen around the same time. And that's why people were ready
Wondering what it
with
is.
really nice cameras.
Sure.
And then this thing popped up and they're like, whoa,
It's nice.
the world's ending.
It's nice when that overlaps, actually. I mean, I feel like it's usually
Yeah.
crappy cell phone cameras. You know, they're shooting it on like a iPhone -1. But these were clearly taken with something nice, like a big lens that captures good nighttime photography.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's beautiful. And I would guess that all
Super
three of
cool.
these things are the same if I had to venture a guess.
Yeah. So after finding that third story, I did some more digging and discovered that there's a term for these occurrences, and it's called the twilight phenomenon. So according to good old Wikipedia, quote, a twilight phenomenon is produced when exhaust particles from missile or rocket propellant left in the vapor trail of a launch vehicle condense, freeze, and then expand in the less dense upper atmosphere. The exhaust plume, which is suspended against a dark sky, is then illuminated by reflective high altitude sunlight through dispersion, which produces a spectacular, colorful effect when seen at ground level. The phenomenon typically occurs with launches that take place either 30 to 60 minutes before sunrise or after sunset when a booster rocket or missile rises out of the darkness and into a sunlit area, relative to an observer's perspective on the ground. Because rocket trails extend high into the stratosphere and mesosphere, they catch high altitude sunlight long after the sun has set on the ground. The small particles in the expanding exhaust plume or cloud diffract sunlight and produce the rose, blue, green, and orange colors, much like a dispersive prism that can be used to break light up into its constituent spectral colors, which would be a rainbow. They're just sounding real fancy here. Whoever wrote this
They are.
Wikipedia article
That's
wanted
beautiful.
us to know they got big brain energy.
Yeah, way to go, Wikipedia.
Yeah. So sometimes it can appear as a corkscrew appearance as it's whipped around by upper level wind currents, but it's typically seen within 2 to 3 minutes after a launch has occurred. Depending on weather conditions, it could remain in the sky for up to half an hour before dispersing.
And
End quote.
that one over China was 15 to 20 minutes, so right
Yep.
in that range.
Yep.
So when I look up the Twilight phenomenon, like I get a lot of vampire content. And then right under that, there's actually this beautiful video of a SpaceX rocket launching as it's
Oh.
leaving the atmosphere. And again, this one isn't a sphere. It's kind of like that corkscrew pattern and rainbow colors, not just a faint glow.
Whoa.
So yeah, these can be beautiful. This doesn't look like the same effect at all, but
No, that one's quite different. Yeah, that is so cool. Okay, so this is r/interesting as fuck 2 years ago from underscore Bittu, BITTU underscore. Pretty cool. Let's see. So you can see it launch there.
boom.
That is so cool.
That is
I don't-
wild. Oh, and I
don't
guess towards the end you can see it. It's obviously moving a lot quicker in this video, but it does eventually turn into like this corona of pale blue light.
Yeah, it does. So that's super cool. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd heard a couple things. I think we'd kind of briefly discussed this, the initial Chinese mystery bubble in the past, and it amazes me that there can be so much documented information, and yet like an original, like even a viral photo or video like that won't have any like clarifying language or comments or anything along with it, you know?
Right. And I went down a couple rabbit holes, like found like old forums from like 2009
You ended up
that
with
have been
Russian
dead.
missile codes.
I'm like, I did actually go on
Oh
Google
no.
Maps and I tried to type in like the distance from Russia to Siberia where the thing was sighted, and like it Google Maps like wouldn't give me hardly any information.
That makes sense. I never really thought about that. They don't want us to go in like Street View in Russia.
Legit. Like it wouldn't say like it'll say like travel time. Like if I look up like travel time from here to Georgia, it'll say like, "Oh, you know, what?
Have
12 hours?"
right?
Something. It wouldn't even give me that or anything. And I couldn't I googled the name of the launch place where the missiles were fired from. It doesn't even come up.
Sheesh, I didn't know the internet had black holes like this. That's wild.
Well, I think it's because Russia is so they're so controlling. So like they control the media that people see over there. Is our episode going to be shut off because we're talking about this?
Bro, I could freaking
Did you just try to
imagine.
do it?
I am.
Oh,
I'm
I thought
playing.
you were trying.
No, I am. Like right now, I'm like trying to figure out what's going on.
What's going on?
Oh, okay. But this reminds me, I don't have any idea why. Have you played GeoGuessr before?
No.
Do you know what it is?
Is that geocaching?
No, so it
Or
pops up a random street view of a random place in the world, and you have to try to use the clues to guess where it's at as quickly as possible. So, like, what do the traffic lights look like? What do the paint look like? What do the
Oh.
people look like? What do the plants look like? And people get very competitive with this, um, but it's kind of fun. I'm not very good at it.
I wouldn't be good at that either. I'd be like, I don't know, it's a beach somewhere. Like, I don't know.
And sometimes, like, you can, like, I just popped one over here. I think this is probably Italy based on the merit of there's a sign saying saying where it's at in the view.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but it's very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I covered that all pretty fast because that was like those four articles is what I had for the episode.
No, that's a
So,
lot, and that's very. You literally found a mystery. It interested you, and you investigated, spent a few hours, and literally got to the bottom of it, and picked up some cool science know-how.
yeah.
And the next time a weird glowing sphere pops up, you're gonna be the freakiest person in the room who's like, "That's actually a Twilight
The Twilight
phenomenon. It
phenomenon.
happens when rocket poop gets ignited in the air or whatever it was you said that happens."
Yeah, and if you listen closely, you can hear the ha ha
Oh
ha.
my God. Oh my gosh. So the next time a rocket launches within your eyesight, your line of sight, then you will be covered, and I will be taking
And
cover under a sturdy table or
yeah,
in a bunker.
I really like when I first started looking into it, I really wanted it to be aliens, but I
Sure.
also really wanted it to be some type of like chemical anomaly, like pollution anomaly, whether it was like light anomaly or like some chemical interfering with the atmosphere, which I guess technically it was.
Sure. But
So,
unfortunately, it's just foreign militaries launching experimental rockets.
yeah.
Again.
Um, Foreign militaries launching experimental rockets would be a sick AF album name or a band name. I wonder if that's taken or not. But
We can look that up. Did we just start another band?
we just started a band.
No, this is wild, and that
Yeah.
answers a lot of questions. And I think it's interesting how many similar light phenomena can possibly be attributed to things like this. And just
Yeah.
even considering, I guess I've never taken the time to think about how stray light that doesn't have anything to catch on once it gets like an ice particle or anything like that up in a low orbit, that it would,
Yeah.
create basically a smoke and mirrors show. So again, we can
Yeah.
probably just draw general conclusions about a lot of similar light activity. So dang, this is handy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah,
know?
again, doesn't I wish it had a more peaceful answer. I mean, they could be peaceful missiles. You never really know.
Yeah. I want to know where the missile landed, but I don't think I would be able to find out.
I'm sure they
Probably.
probably don't disclose that either. It could have been a USPS missile, I guess, just like if you order Amazon next day or Amazon same day, just consider the carbon footprint when they launch the missile toward your house.
You have a point.
Yeah, but I mean, it's addictive. I mean, I ordered a $3 bag of blue wire nuts today, and it showed up like 2 hours later. It's kind of nuts. I don't know how that's economically like sustainable.
What?
Yeah, it's wild. We also
Dude,
live
you might
right
as well
next
like
to it.
DoorDash that stuff.
Well, it's free if
Oh,
if
true.
if you've got Prime. I'm saying like I just pop it in there, you get free shipping, and then it just shows up at my house like a millisecond later. But we live right next to a massive Amazon like distribution and fulfillment
Oh.
center. It's like 4 to 6 warehouse buildings. It's huge.
Whoa.
But yeah, they'll just cart stuff right over here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but anyway, they didn't use the torpedo for that one. I got off topic. Basically, at
Okay. No, you're
USPS
good.
rockets creating these light shows over Beijing. So that's another. We solved it.
Can you imagine, like, your boss is like, oh, we're having problems with our bank. I'm going to have to mail you your check. And then they just put it in a missile and shoot it off to fucking space. You're like,
Maybe I mean, if you work for SpaceX on Mars, I guess.
oh my God.
That's
That'd be
too
funny, though.
That's too funny. All right.
Yeah.
This is good. Thank you
Well,
for,
yeah.
for putting this together. There was a lot of jumping around hoops, and I feel like you left this with no direction except ambiguous Googling. So that's the power of the internet right there. Or Bing.
Yeah. No, or Bing. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have dial up anymore. That probably would have taken me like 8 hours instead of 4.
Dude,
It did take
exactly.
me a long time to find all of the articles, though. So,
I mean, you're pulling up flipping like Russian and Chinese content here, so I think you could
apparently,
be excused.
so
Wow, you're like
Yeah.
an international journalist.
I would not go that far. But thank you. I was pretty proud of myself on this
Well,
one.
dude, you went across like 3 continents, so
True.
it's
And now
pretty
I'm on a
far.
watch list, probably.
Oh yeah,
in
definitely. You're searching. How to
I'm
spot
looking up
Russian
Russia on
missiles.
Google Maps.
Where do
All
they
these
launch
alerts
from?
like,
Where did it
do
go?
not travel.
This is not
not
the
travel
not the
to
time
Russia.
of year to be looking into this.
No. Oh my God.
Absolutely, might be a good time to learn Russian though, just in case.
Yeah. I know Koshka. That means cat. That's all I got, though.
Well, I couldn't tell if that was leading to a joke or if that's true.
No, yeah, Koshka. Because a coworker of mine, she was in Russia when she was in the military, and it means cat. Yep, I just looked it up.
Koshka.
It means Koshka.
That's
So when she moved
that's
back
cute.
here and got married, she named her cat Koshka.
Okay.
Anyway,
Side note: is that the
Yeah.
UFO from the Target walk-in aisle? Like,
it is.
I literally almost bought that the other day. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so
It's a
cute.
good value.
Yeah, it was $5.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah.
it's great. Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening to me ramble on and sound like a crazy person digging into this. So
Hey, she's on Dayquil, just
I am on Dayquil. I have been all day.
all we can do is pray
long.
for her, yeah. But so absolutely.
So if you would like to send us like a request on anything you'd like for us to cover, you can shoot us an email at nicheknowledgeandnonsense@gmail.com, or you could send us a message on Instagram at nknpod, not .com. nknpod.
We should get nknpod.com before somebody starts trying to impersonate us and steal our audience.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, if you think you can do a better job, why don't you go to Russia and take photos of the sky? Why don't you? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
See if you get back.
For
if
sure.
you can come back.
Drop
I
us a
don't know.
message though, and if you have a second, and if you're on one of your favorite streaming apps, if you could hop over and leave us a review, we would appreciate that. It really helps us to get seen. And aside from that, have a great start to your week.